robots took my podcast, man.
Prepare yourself for the ultimate battle. Galaxy of Terror.
Stranded astronauts Edward Albert and Aaron Moran battle hordes of hideous shadow demons, encounter the razor-sharp living glass, brave the pit of doomed souls, just to discover the only way out is death.
Galaxy of Terror.
So now that the master of the planet Xerses has willed this podcast, maybe we should begin, Anthony.
Okay.
Maybe you should add an echo there. Just beef it up a bit.
I don't know. So let's see. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to our podcast. The robots took my podcast. I am Jordan.
And I am Anthony.
Anthony, what movie are we talking about today?
Jordan, I'm sorry to say we have another New World Pictures film. Jordan, do you recall we have...
Aw, don't be sorry about it. It's not that bad, is it?
Do you remember what they are?
Humanoids of the Deep was one.
Humanoids from the Deep.
Wait, what was the other one?
Well, released by New World.
Released by New World. Oh, Star Crash, right?
Yeah. Star Crash was a Star Wars ripoff. And Galaxy of Terror, this 1981 film we're talking about today.
Yes, 81.
Is an alien ripoff, some might say. And some might be right.
Now, funny you say that, because this is a year after New World made a Star Wars ripoff called Battle Beyond the Stars.
Oh, boy.
And this is also the same sets, folks, from Battle Beyond the Stars, because Roger Corman does not like to waste sets. He's not going to throw them away when that production's done. No. He says, I think I can make 5 more pictures with these sets. All we have to do is change the lighting and the angles. Do it. I know you can make it work. Do it. That's my bad Roger. That's my evil Roger Corman impression.
Evil Roger Corman.
Evil Roger Corman. I invented the wheel.
I invented the camera. Before me, nobody was using that.
Let's cut that line from you. That was your line there. Anytime we watched a documentary where Roger Corman was being interviewed and talked about some innovation he made.
Well, it was my idea to have actors stand toward the camera instead of away from it. You're like, come on, Roger.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is, in my mind, there are, I guess, a quadrilogy of films.
Yeah.
That are related in the sense that they all kind of
reuse the sets from Battle Beyond the Stars.
Exactly. And what are those?
I'm sorry.
What are those movies?
To cut you off.
No, you're right. What are What are those movies?
I have an answer.
And yes, you have an answer, Jordan.
Like we're in a classroom here and you're the only teacher, I'm the only student.
We got an answer here. Yes, Jordan, you with your hand up. So what movies reused the sets from Battle from Beyond the Stars?
Well, after this, wouldn't Forbidden World, another New World picture kind of alien ripoff, reuse these same sets and dress them again? And then another movie called Android from 1982. They would reuse these sets to at least the corridors, and they built some new corridors on Android.
That's right. Jordan, Space Raiders? Come on, brah.
Hello?
Space Raiders? Where's the love for Space Raiders?
How could I forget Space Raiders? OMG.
That piece of crap.
You and I and the French love Space Raiders, Anthony.
Oui.
Yes, oui.
Jerry Lewis and Space Raiders.
Yes. I just made that up, honestly. But
anyway, your buddy Roger Corman, and tell all the folks who haven't listened to our prior episodes, who is Roger Corman?
Roger Corman, he started making very, very low budget movies and releasing them through American International Pictures in the 60s 50s, and the early 70s until he realized that he could make more money by himself on his own because he was a businessman. He was a business major, Roger Corman. But he started in the mailroom at 20th Century Fox, of all places, and worked his way up and then made his own picture, just out on his own. But he very business savvy. The dude knew how to stretch a dollar. And also, as Monty Hellman once said in an interview, the man could not stand to lose money. And on a movie set, this could be reflected as well a lot of times. probably right down to the coffee and donuts, I imagine, the catering.
Yeah.
You better get the catering while it's there because we only have a certain amount of food to feed the crew, probably situation.
Yeah.
Could be that kind of thing. But yeah.
Or reusing sets and reusing just about everything you possibly could. Models.
He was he was known to reuse a lot of sets. He reused sets that he had bought these gothic sort of English style Victorian set panels and used them for a Poe movie. And then he made 3 more Poe movies with the same sets and just moved them around, redressed them, reupholstered them, all that kind of thing, you know. Although it's funny, you know, Paramount Pictures later took a cue from this when Harve Bennett started taking over the Star Trek franchise.
Anyway. And so speaking of sets, Jordan, who is the production designer / second unit director on this film who also worked on Battle from Beyond the Stars?
Well, one was Robert Skotak. I might have said his name wrong. And another was Mr. James Cameron.
Yeah.
Yes, the James Cameron. He never worked again after this movie.
Yeah, never heard of him. But go on about Robert Skotak. Tell us more.
Robert Skotak, model maker extraordinaire, my God, and worked on the sets on this movie. Man. And he later worked on this little James Cameron movie called Terminator 2 Judgment Day, but we're not going to talk about that guy, anyway. James Cameron.
Anyway, so James Cameron worked on this film. Wow.
So... Yes, James Cameron worked on this movie. And I mean, to great capacity, no joke, all kidding aside. Not just production designer, but also second unit as well. I think, honestly, he directed half this movie.
Because the credited director...
Yeah, B.D. Clark,
the music, which is by Barry Schrader.
This music, which is the way the movie begins, with this music by Barry Schrader, this very harmonious synthesizer, symphonic...
Yeah, synth-heavy.
All synth-heavy, trippy sounding... kind of bad dream sounding music, like from the get-go, you know, over this title sequence of this alien surface, which we haven't even gotten to yet in the movie.
Yeah, a desolate alien planet, and we see a crashed ship, a painting of all this.
And it looks like a James Cameron kind of shot, right? It looks like it's right from the ruins in Terminator, the post-Holocaust World War III ruins we see in Terminator, you know, post-Skynet. It looks like the shots in Aliens also, the sequel to Alien, you know?
Yeah, I think he cut his teeth on this film. This film, like, may have a legacy in those films. I don't know, in a weird way.
Yeah. It's almost like this movie prepared him later on to do a sequel for Alien. Isn't that weird? Like, how did that happen, you know? How do you get that kind of luck in the universe?
I don't know. But anyway, right into the action with a guy with some laser running from something, dead crew members all around, and he sees in this door portal something, and then an invisible force slams him against the wall, right?
Yeah.
This movie jumps right from that into Xerses, a small world on the fringes of occupied space.
Yeah, and this, I don't know why my brain always blocked out this scene, because I've watched this movie a bunch of times since I discovered it years ago, and I, for some reason, have always forgotten about this scene. Maybe I blocked it out because it doesn't make a lot of sense either.
Jordan, how dare you accuse this movie of not making any sense?
Why is this scene in this movie, Anthony? Master of Planet Xerses, you know, what? WTF this movie?
So that weirdness you're talking about, Jordan, right?
Yeah.
Is we go to Xerses, a small world on the fringes of occupied space, and we meet Mitri, an interpreter of the signs. And she is playing an old tabletop video game with the powerful one, Planet Master of Xerses. Now, Jordan, describe this dude.
He's got a head made of light, Anthony, is all I can say. His head just exudes light. It looks like a ruby that's just blurry on screen. It's weird, Anthony. It's really weird. And
it's like Ghost Rider
talks
or something.
and echoes. Yeah, he's like this weird otherworldly Ghost Rider. And while this woman is sitting there talking, she sounds an awful lot like Grace Zabriskie, who we later meet in the movie.
Yeah.
And it looks like she's either playing a 80s video game or playing a Simon Says game from that time period with the lights on it and everything. And they're like communicating telepathically almost kind of at the same time. I don't know what is going on. How did I ever skip this? Did I just skip over this scene every time I've watched this movie? How did I never remember this scene before?
I don't know. Your brain must have blocked it out, maybe some PTSD, but this scene did happen. It's confusing.
Yeah. There it is. It's in front of me. Yeah, this is the exposition, though, folks. You better pay attention.
This is the exposition. You better like it. I mean, we can't go back now. This is a planet master of Xerxes, and he's like this almost god to these people. I don't understand, because we don't spend much time with him. He's just notified that there's a lost ship. The Remus was on a planet Morganthus, right?
Yeah,
Morganthus.
I mean, just to quote Butthead when he talked over this one video, and he was just like, "Is this the Earth?" I mean, that's my same question here on this scene. Is like, "Is this the Earth, Xerses?"
This begins like a Conan the Barbarian movie or something. It doesn't begin like a space opera.
And it's on one of the trailers too, and it looks fine on one of the trailers, but this is not explained as well in the movie.
No.
Anyway.
So the guy who was in the teaser scene at the beginning, right? I guess they're looking. He was on the ship that was lost on Morganthus, and they're, so the rotoscope blob-headed one, the Planet Master is going to. He's not happy about this.
Yeah, he's like, go to that planet, go look for them. No, he didn't say it just like that.
Yeah.
Though.
So the Master wants to send a rescue ship, but he doesn't want the crew to know anything about the mission. So it's like a secret mission, right? It's a cover up. It's a conspiracy theory. There's no transparency in the Master's dictatorship.
Yeah. What a dick for not telling them. What a dick is all I can say.
The Master is just spending the financial reserves of the planet, just running it into the ground.
Next time I run into him at a party, I'm going to give him a piece of my mind when I'm really drunk. I'm going to be, hey, listen, Mr. Planet Master Xerxes, you said all these people on this planet's to die, and you knew it. You knew it. This was going to happen. You knew you're going to have to face their fears. Oh, sorry, I just gave away the whole plot just now. I'm just drunken rant here, fake drunken rant.
And then... And he's spending all the people's money on these tabletop games. And he's just hanging out. People are dying, and he's just playing games.
Yeah, Master Xerxes. Yeah, and just got his garden in the background, just hanging out at this Holiday Inn the whole fucking time in Ohio, wherever the fuck he is. I don't know.
It does look like a Holiday Inn, like
futuristic Ohio, futuristic Canada. I don't know.
Hey, the future. So anyway, so that's the beginning. So we see a crew all rushing onto a ship. I don't know why everyone's in such a hurry, but
total human crew by contrast to what we just saw.
Yeah,
I mean, those are the first people we met in this fucking movie, right, Anthony? Jesus.
Yeah,
I'm being a little more critical because of this scene now.
Yeah, this weird interpreter of signs and some guy with a glowing head. Like, is this like there are humans on this planet? Does everyone have a glowing head? Do some people have glowing heads? What is going on here? I have no idea.
Is he God, Anthony? Is that what's going on here?
I don't know, Jordan. That's a very good question.
Is he Buddha? Is he one? Is he Hashem? The way is he all of them? Who knows, Anthony? Oh my God! Does this movie go even deeper?
And even after watching this movie, who knows? Jordan, I mean, these are good. These are all very good questions.
What lurks in the galaxy of terror?
We don't have time to answer these questions because Captain Trantor, played by Grace Zabriskie, who you mentioned.
Yeah, from Twin Peaks.
Yeah. List goes on. Yeah.
List goes on. Everything. Great actress.
But she wants to take off quickly. And hardly anybody, like people are just getting on this ship and it's like the launch sequence has been initiated and everyone's got to hop in a seat and like put some seat belts on, buckle up for safety, folks.
After all this, like, I just don't understand why the movie didn't begin here, or
Yeah, I like the tension though; it doesn't waste time. And you're right. Why didn't it begin here?
After the guy got killed, at least. After the guy got killed, just go right to this. Like, bam, crew go looking for him. Bam. I mean, they're trying to rip off Alien. This stuff that looks like it's out of a Scientology film beforehand.
And we'll get into that more. Well, let's talk about here because the rest of the movie isn't like this. But do you remember? Okay, Star Crash kind of had science fiction and fantasy elements to almost to a fault, to where it leaned so much on the fantasy, it was confusing. Right?
Yeah. Although that was weird because that was, yeah. I mean, it's not too far off, I guess. Yeah.
Star Wars is fantasy, but it still kind of is rooted in some reality. It doesn't have dudes like with glowing heads playing like Pac-Man on a tabletop game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, Alien, the movie that this movie stole from, or
borrowed. These are baseless accusations, Jordan.
Borrowed from, or the movie that this movie paid an homage to, Alien, looks more real than
paid an
French
homage to.
For nicer words, yeah.
Roger Corman never paid an homage in his life. He's not paying for an homage, Jordan. He's not paying for
Battle Beyond the Stars was it not an homage to Star Wars, Anthony?
Yeah.
I say it in Roger Corman-esque tones, Anthony.
Yeah.
Anthony.
So we meet our crew. Commander Ilvar, played by Bernard Behrens, who he's the commander. And he's this old officer who hasn't been on a mission in a while.
He's the one sitting in her seat, right, when she meets him.
Yeah.
Grace Zabrisky's seat, right? She's like, what are you doing? You're in my chair. Like, this is my ship.
Yeah, there's already some tension here.
Already some tension. I like how macho she is, though. I like that in a woman. You know?
Yeah, she doesn't mess around. You know, she's kind of like Ripley. Would you say? No, I'm kidding. Anyway.
What? No. You think this is like Alien? No.
Anyway, and
she's kind of gutsy. She is kind of gutsy like Ripley.
Yeah, somebody has some guts in this movie. Jeez. Anyway, so
would all these women do a shot of tequila with me? That's what I want to know. Just that's how gutsy I want to see if they are. You know.
Well, in 1981, Bernard Behrens voiced the role of Obi-Wan Kenobi in a radio dramatization of Star Wars for National Public Radio.
Oh, really? Wow,
yes.
That was him. I have heard that since it's been, because you can find it on YouTube, I think.
So same universe? Is this the same universe? I don't know.
Huh. Interesting.
No, I'm kidding. Captain Trantor, Grace Zabriskie, has been on the go since the Hesperus massacre, something that happened 25 years ago, and she flew the ship back alone. So she's going back to the planet where, or there is it the same planet, Jordan, where the Hesperus incident happened?
I guess it is now that you think. I guess it is because she starts to have PTSD later on in the movie that we get to. Anyway, it's all affecting her in that way.
Yeah.
So maybe it is. I never thought about it though. I'll be honest now until you brought it up.
Yeah,
I'll be honest.
I don't know. I might have missed something.
As much as I love this movie, and I even own, this movie was also known as Mind Warp, oddly, in the South of the United States. And I have the poster for Mind Warp, one of the actual posters. And I own this one and another New World Pictures poster. And if you want to know how cheap Roger Corman was with posters back then, he took off an extra inch around the border. They're not 27 by 41 like other posters from that time period. No, they're 27 by 39. It was almost like he was saving money to get an extra poster.
Oh, Roger.
Roger Corman.
Anyway.
He's like, I need that extra border. I realized I could make an extra poster.
Yeah. And so anyway, then we also meet Cabron, who's played by Edward Albert. And who's Edward Albert, Jordan?
Edward Albert Jr., actually. His daddy, I know from the movie Dreamscape from a few years later, 1984. But of course, that's just underrated. His daddy was on Green Acres also.
I know him from, what movie did we talk about?
Well, and then, of course, Edward Albert Jr. was also in a Goldie Hawn movie called Butterflies Are Free. Which was that was like one of his earliest roles.
The Devil's Reign, Jordan. We talked about Eddie Albert on The Devil's Reign.
We talked about Eddie Albert's daddy on The Devil's Reign. Yes, we did. Edward Albert Sr. on that one. Yeah.
And Edward Albert was also in a movie called Space Marines with who, Jordan?
Also produced by Roger Corman, and I was an extra on it, and I still have not got paid. Anthony, it's all coming back to me now. Just like Grace Zabriskie in this flashback scene.
You mentioned that. I like, seriously, we need to. All right, everyone in the studio audience, let's take up a collection to get Jordan his $50 for that day he was on Space Marines. Anyway,
I did. I was on the roof of the Eagle Potato Chips factory building, my elbows digging an asphalt with a machine gun, An M16, a real M16 with an empty clip, mind you, that the stunt coordinator handed me, not the weapons guy, mind you, the arms person. No arms person this day, people. Even okay. I'm just saying. Yeah, never got my money anyway.
So did you meet Edward Albert?
I saw him on set. He came in. I was in the room where they stuffed the extras, like they kept us all in one room. The people that had less lines or no lines, or a few lines. Actually, it was a few lines and no lines. That's what it was, because there was one guy that had 3 lines that came in there and was sitting there. But it was like the room. There was not even any chairs in this room. We all just lounged around the floor, just laid around the floor. And yeah, he came by. Edward Albert Jr. came by with his plate of food from catering. He had a full plate of food. And he said, "Hey, guys, how you doing today?" We were like, "Hey, how you doing today, man?" "All right, man. Hey, good to see you." And walked away.
What a mensch. What a mensch.
I saw him get into a spacesuit later on. Like, that was interesting. I remember, and the crew singing "Viva Las Vegas" around him when he was walking out to set, you know.
What?
No, that's real, actually. I did not make that up. That's real. All of that is real, what I'm telling you on that movie, yes. No, he seemed like a nice guy, but, he beat me to the catering, Anthony. I didn't get any food also that day. Just saying.
I'm sorry.
Except for lunch, which was...
In this movie, he plays Cabron, who is sort of cocky in a mustached way, if that makes sense.
Got a great mustache, I gotta say.
Yeah.
No joke. I admire his mustache.
Yeah. Then there's Balon, who's played by Zalman King, and he's
Zalman King.
Yes.
He's pissed, and he's also there to make a softcore porn movie on the side because he's Zalman King.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going to get a free location out of this planet that they're on. But yeah, it's going to be a girl-on-girl affair.
Producer, look him up.
Yeah. Zalman King, who also produced the Red Shoe Diaries from Showtime. Yeah. It's sad that I'm bringing that up. I guess it's pathetic that I know that. Okay. All right. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Long, illustrious career. Yeah.
Go look it up amongst yourselves. Look up his movie Wild Orchid was one of the earliest NC-17 movies ever rated NC-17. Anyway, Zalman King, ladies and gentlemen. He has one expression in this whole movie, I think.
Yes.
He's got like the male version of a resting bitch face in this movie.
He really does. He's got pissed off.
It doesn't rest. It rests completely. It doesn't even move, No.
No, it's like he had a stroke or something, and that's what his face looks like. Sorry, and that's what you get.
He had a stroke while he was pissed off, and it was a stroke frown at the same time, and it just froze that way.
It's the Zalman King School of Acting. Is like, you got one good expression, why change it? You got it. It's nailed. Yeah. Done. Anyway, so he reminds Cabron.
There was a Zalman King School of Acting in the Valley. Did you know that?
Take your clothes off. I thought this was voice work. No, take your clothes off.
This was chapter 2, the Balon face. The angry frown. Permanent.
Just keep one face the whole movie. Anyway, he reminds Cabron that he's number 2 in command, and he takes orders from me, or him, which is rude. And he also worked with Bruce Clark on a movie called Ski Bum. Seems like a lot of people reunited on this film from Ski Bum.
Ski Bum? I need to watch this movie. I'm not familiar with this movie, Ski Bum.
Sure, it's great. You get to see Zalman King's like ski face the whole movie. Anyway.
Oh, wow.
So
I can picture it already. I'm imagining that in my mind already. Yes, with the ski goggles and the face.
Then we get Aluma, the ship's psi-sensitive. Jordan, so who plays Aluma in this film?
And that's another thing. She's psychic. I'm sorry. It's Erin Moran from Happy Days. And
from Happy Days, Joni
loves Chachi. Yeah, and this goes on.
This doesn't go on much, but yeah.
Galaxy of Terror. This movie, yes. The one.
And I will say this movie had a ship psychic way before Star Trek The Next Generation did. You know what I mean?
She's also a lot like another Ripley, isn't she, I guess?
Yeah.
Oh, I should have said that. I'm sorry. We're talking about Galaxy of Terror, not Alien here.
Yeah.
Okay. No comparison.
No comparison. She and Cabron have some history, clearly.
I think they do, don't they? You can kind of see it going on there.
Yeah. Then there's Ray Walston, who plays Kor, the ship's cook. And who is Ray Walston?
He's my favorite Martian, Anthony.
He's your favorite Martian. And
That's
what
the
else?
TV show, My Favorite
Is
Martian.
it? Oh, okay. And
he was God. He was talk about an actor that was in everything even before this movie, though. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, you're talking about 105 movies exactly. I don't know. Ray Walston, great actor.
Great actor.
Yeah, most notably came from the TV show My Favorite Martian.
Yeah, with Bill Bixby, who was TV's.
Later, the Hulk. Yeah, Bill Bixby. Yeah, Ray Walston. Yeah, Ray Walston. We have Sid Haig's character. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, then we have Quahog, who is Sid Haig. And he's a tough, silent type with a crystal throwing star that is his only weapon. And tell us about Sid Haig here. Who is Sid Haig?
Sid Haig, I mean, we know him. Pam Grier kind of helped make him famous, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, yeah, The Big Birdcage, he was in that movie. Was that the first movie he ever did? Like
Spider Baby, come to play.
Oh my God, Spider Baby,
Spider
Jack Hill.
Baby.
I'm so sorry. Oh.
How dare you?
He played a weird character in Spider Baby, this Jack Hill movie. It's like it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre before Chainsaw Massacre. This movie, Spider Baby, directed by Jack Hill, starring Sid Haig, who was in this movie, and fun stories behind this. Sid Haig told in an interview on the DVD with this movie was he said when he was asked to play this character, Roger asked him to play this character. Corman asked him to play this character. And he said, I want more money, because he had been working like 10 years almost for Roger Corman at that point or something.
Yeah.
And Roger said, well, that's not going to happen. What else do you want? And he said, well, then I want to play him like, I don't want any dialogue. I want to play him as silent.
Where else would we know Sid Haig from more recently?
Oh my God! Well, of course, the Rob Zombie movies, House of Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects,
Taffy O'Connell.
Taffy O'Connell, yes.
Actually, her name looks like Tuffa Faye. It reminds me.
You said it right. It's Taffy.
Is it?
It's Taffy O'Connell. Yeah.
It reminds me of Keegan-Michael Key's like teacher character. He's a Tuffa Faye. It's Tuffa Faye here. Anyway, so Robert Englund plays Ranger. And who is Robert Englund?
Oh, who is Robert Englund? I'm just joking. He played Freddy Krueger in this small franchise that built New Line Cinema called Nightmare on Elm Street. He's from the TV show miniseries I Love V. I grew up with. I don't know if you watched that when you were a kid or, back in the 80s. And I mean, God, just list goes on. I mean, man,
I mean, just a treasure. And then we have Kaz, played by Jack Blessing, who plays the ship's coward. He sweats a lot, and he's probably going to get killed soon.
He's listed in the credits as Nauseous Guy.
I know.
I just made that up, actually. But you would almost think.
He's the Star Trek red shirt guy.
It would have been funny if they'd stuck him in a red shirt just for grins. My God, why didn't they just stick him in a gray? Wouldn't that have been great?
How and why did the master, in his infinite wisdom, pick this idiot to be on this mission? He brings nothing to it. Except if you need someone to piss their pants, I don't know. You got him. That's it. That's all he does.
Surely, did he miss the training? Like, when they had to train for shooting off other worlds and going through hyperdrive sickness, he didn't train for all that shit? I mean...
I don't know. He's got irritable bowel syndrome, and his doctor has advised him not to fly in space. Then we get a rip-off THX theme, and the ship takes off, right? They jump into hyperspace.
THX theme? This was like before THX sound even, but it would work perfectly for that. Now that
it does. It sounds like a rip-off. It's funny. This movie ripped a lot of things off before they were actually made. I don't know how it manages to do that, but it does.
Before and after it was made.
It doesn't originate them. It somehow ripped them off and back in time. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to give it credit. Anyway, so and then the crew is upset because the captain's like, everyone get on the ship, and then she just jumps into hyperspace. Everyone's like, oh my God, what's going on here? And a lot of toggle switches in this movie, and then on this ship.
Yeah,
this is of that era
for the actors.
What do you think about the ship sets and some of these optical effects? What do you think about the effects in the sets?
Oh, I think they still work. I mean, I think the ship looks cool. I love the production design. Honestly, they made a lot. I think it's inspiring. even today, because they made a lot for so little. This is like less budget than Avatar, kids.
Yeah.
Than a movie like Avatar or its sequel.
God, Jordan, why are you even mentioning Avatar? Like a movie that cost
because it's James Cameron once again, and like I wish James Cameron would go back and do something small like this.
This is a smaller
honestly.
budget than Ski Patrol. I mean, come on, dude.
How dare you bring up Ski Patrol on this podcast, mister? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get all.
Oh, no. Anyway, no, but I mean, this is a smaller budget than most films, really, because this is Roger.
No, yeah, this was. I mean, this had less budget, I think, than even the previous year, Battle Beyond the Stars. I think it had even less budget than that movie.
But I think they're really making good use and stretching a dollar here because the ship looks good. It looks like a ship.
The corridors, for prime example, fun fact, is made of, when you see all this vacuum form stuff on half of the upper side of the corridor, that's a bunch of hamburger styrofoam that they would put hamburgers in back then. Styrofoam trays, and they're folded out and stapled and glued up into the side of the corridor for extra kind of something, extra on there, something looking interesting, symmetrical, all that. Like it looks like vacuum form, but no, that's where they got it from. They just,
Yeah, when the crew finished their lunch, Roger's like, just take the trash and put it up on the wall and we'll have a corridor.
Pretty much, probably that, no joke. And I heard James Cameron had other people like in lower positions going to trashes and looking for refuse like that, going through Burger King trashes and McDonald's trashes, apparently looking for that kind of stuff.
So this movie is actually in reality partly garbage.
Yeah.
But anyway, then
physically as well.
They arrive at Morgantis, and then the ship starts to malfunction, and alarms go off, and it's pulled to the planet by an unseen force, Jordan. Woo! But then the captain thinks quickly and lands the lands the ship
on this
safely
blue planet.
On the planet's surface. On this blue planet that's not blue when you get down there.
It looked blue from out in space. It looked blue,
But yeah, they're just on the crappy part of Morgantis. I don't know. They're not on the beach side. Anyway, they detect the ship that they're looking for, the Remus, a short distance away, but there are no life signs, right?
Yeah. You said, I'm sorry, you just said not on the beach side they didn't land. Not on the ocean side.
Oh, no. Yeah, they landed on the crappy part of this planet. So
the real estate on this planet's not very valuable, is what I can tell.
Yeah.
Although you would think it was from the far,
Yeah, the pamphlet looked totally different when they bought the timeshare, Jordan. And now they get there and it's like, oh my God, look at this place.
They only hope they get the TV and not the drink mixer.
So they board the ship's wreckage, and Cabrin and Kuhan, I'm just going to screw up these names, Jordan. Cabrin and Kuhan go into the wreckage. They find a dummy and shoot it, setting off they find a crew member's body and they shoot it, setting off the fire alarm. I don't know why they're incinerating the bodies in this movie. They just do it. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I guess for health reasons. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe health code. The master's got a health code.
Yeah, he doesn't want. This is like COVID. So you don't want to spread anything here. Incinerate the bodies before you bring them on the ship. Anyway, so they send Kaz out alone. And why do they do this, Jordan?
I forgot. Why do they do this?
I don't know either, because he's absolutely useless as a character. I don't know why. Why
the nauseous guy? Yeah, I don't know why they sent him.
Yeah, he's just going to throw up, which he does.
Yeah, this is not a sight for sore eyes here, and this is like, to quote the Cenobites in Hellraiser, this is not for your eyes, to this guy, basically.
But he runs into...
Why did they bring this guy? Yes, I agree. He's literally dispensable.
Just to die.
Just to die.
Just to be killed.
Yeah. It's kind of sick to watch in a way.
But he is stalked by a pretty good stop-motion monster.
Yes.
Stop-motion effects.
Cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And it doesn't kill him, sadly. And the crew finds him, right? Maybe next time. We're hoping. I was sitting here, I was so disappointed that Kaz did not die.
He's like, oh God.
It's just like, can something please kill this dude? And then he didn't die.
Please put him out of his misery.
But then a few minutes later, he's alone again, Jordan. And then what happens? What happens to our buddy?
This is when we see the alien hand just come up out of nowhere behind his head and squeeze the shit out of his head till it's a bloody mess. It's like a jelly-filled donut you buy. You know, I love jelly-filled donuts, by the way. That just makes me hungry now. I'm sorry.
All the food containers glued on the walls made me hungry in this movie. Anyway,
I know. I was like thinking, wow, that's a lot of Grandy's food.
It felt like a drive-through. Yeah.
Grandy's sounds good right now. Is there a Grandy's nearby? I haven't had Grandy's in years.
Grandy's, bro. That's a call.
Fast food that doesn't taste fast, Anthony.
Morgan just is a little behind the times. It has a Grandy's still, so you can find it there. And
yeah, they're on the Galaxy of Terror.
Next to the Dairy Queen. So anyway, Kaz dies, and then the crew is back at the ship.
Thank God they finally killed him off. It was annoying watching him after a while. I was like, come on, you know, just to quote Beavis and Butthead once again, come on, you wuss.
Yeah, and then Illuma says there were life signs around Kaz, and then they disappeared. Interesting. Remember that, Jordan?
Oh, yeah, I forgot. She's psychic on top of all this.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah, she's psychic. Yeah.
Just, man, take a note from the Twilight Zone. Just not too much at once, people. You know, here, you know, writers.
But remember what she says about life signs, Jordan, and how they disappear? Because it doesn't pay off later. Anyway, so the captain says this is what happened.
Kind of doesn't pay off.
Kind of not really. So the captain says this is what happened at the Hesperus. So let's continue to do what didn't work before, right? Let's go back to the ship. Anyway, they show the body on the TV screen. That's Kaz's body. And I think it's a good effect. There's some good gore effects in this movie. The face is all hollowed out.
Before Day of the Dead even like had this kind of scene where you have like a literally looking realistic cadaver. Yeah, it looks great. It looks great. Yeah. The face is completely hollowed out. I forgot how violent that looked in this scene. I forgot about this scene as well. And but I was like, this is their alien moment again here, you know.
Yeah, I wonder why we saw it in a TV. It's probably more effective on a TV. That's probably a better, you know, way of presenting that, because up close it probably wouldn't look as good. But I don't know.
That's a more realistic approach, because it looks like they're looking at a surveillance camera, and they shot it in video. You can tell as well, kind of. So very savvy effect once again, on this movie's part, definitely, and the crew's part. The effects crew, Cameron, etc., Robert Skotok and company, you know, and his brother Dennis.
So then Balon wants to get the hell out of there.
Balon with his bitch face, man. God.
He is not having a good day.
Balon.
Yes, and the commander wants them to find the last 4 missing crew members of the Remus, and everyone else is like, dude, there's no survivors. And he's like, no, the master sent us. We have to go do this, because master, right?
Master does what we tell him. We do what Master says.
You want us to go and find the survivors, Master? That's a deep cut from from what movie, Jordan?
Oh my God, you going deep with Manos Hands of Fate here?
Manos Hands
Torgo?
of Fate.
Are you quoting Torgo?
I was quoting Torgo. Master.
Master says, Master says go look for whatever it is out here that we're looking for. Balon,
Then they find an area that overloads the sensors whenever they try to scan it. And it's like, we have no option other to investigate. Or the commander says, we have no option but to investigate. Yes, you do. Like, hasn't the commander seen one of these movies before? That is the last thing you do.
Yeah, this is the future. They haven't seen... There's no horror movies in this world that they live in at all. Like, Anthony? Oh, God, I'm getting sick.
Something's close by, Anthony. Anthony, I can't hear you. I lost you on the podcast, Anthony.
Still on. Jordan, I'm sorry. I lost the transmission there for a minute.
Oh, thank God. I thought... You know, I mean, talking about this movie made me think about that movie, and I thought I was going to get... I saw a monster here in the recording closet.
We have terrible internet service here on Morgantis. I don't know. You know what I mean? But anyway.
Oh. Your Wi-Fi is not connected with the master. of Xerses.
I have not paid my bill to the master. Anyway, so they go on a search party to this dead signal area, led by the commander, because he's like 70 years old. And like, is this Star Trek? Why is the highest ranking officer on the ship investigating like whatever the danger is? It's never made any sense.
Oh wait, yeah, I thought Edward Albert's character was the highest ranking. I guess he's not.
So anyway, then they go and they find, what do they find, Jordan?
This giant pyramid-shaped alien. They don't know what it is.
Exactly. A giant alien period. They don't know what it is.
They're climbing it. They start climbing it. And this old man can't climb the pyramid with them for some reason.
He's old. He should not be on a pyramid climbing mission.
Another crew member. Why'd they bring him? Yes.
But it's like a giant Giger looking pyramid. A lot of the sets here.
It looks cool though. I love the look of it. Yeah.
Are very H.R. Giger inspired, I would say. And then they climb the pyramid. The commander's complaining about his sciatica. And he's questioning why the master put him in charge of the mission. And then Damia says he's not old. And then the commander says, I'm not old, or not when I'm looking at you, I'm not.
The blow that he did on the ship just kicked in for his sciatica.
I know. Luckily, they're like several light years away from the nearest HR department. Then the commander...
The commander told me that he looked younger looking at me. I had to tell somebody in the HR department, okay?
I don't think it's appropriate, this commander.
Another time he said, I feel young looking at you walking through this corridor.
That's why the commander hasn't been on any missions in a while, Jordan. He can't keep it to himself, you know what I mean? Anyway.
Somehow he still has this job.
He's connected. Anyway. He's the master's brother-in-law, you know.
Must be. Friends in high places, the master.
Anyway, the commander begins to feel doubt in his mind. He begins to quote poetry, and he finds this deep shaft and is compelled to climb down it, even though Damien and Cabron urge him not to, right? He goes down this giant shaft. Bad idea. All this is a bad idea. What happens then, Jordan? What happens to him?
God damn, he falls here and then...
Oh, no, he's on this line, and...
Oh, that's right.
Rubber tentacles come out of these holes.
Oh, that's right.
And suction on him and kill him.
Suction on. I confuse the kills too when I watch this movie. I've realized that I don't remember this movie properly. Oddly, every time, even though I've watched it a bunch of times. So he falls down the shaft.
He falls. Yeah. Well, yeah. Abram goes down to investigate, and all he finds is the harness. So the commander's gone. We don't know what happened to him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. They find his backpack as well. The backpack with the headlights on them.
Yeah. And
they're all wearing.
And some power bars in there. Yeah. So
and some power bars, uneaten, and a glow stick.
Exactly. Aluma, Balon, and Quad. I hate these names, I swear. Make it to the top. And they find a crew member's body, but then Balon disintegrates it once again. Okay. This is important, Jordan, because it doesn't pay off later. So anyway,
not at all.
A door begins to open, and then Quad throws his crystal stars to stop it, right?
Oh, yeah. And those were his last crystal stars, right? That's what he says.
Or his crystal. Yeah, exactly. His crystal.
That's like the only line Sig has in this movie, I think.
Yeah. They're stars, but they're kind of like throwing stars, but they're these big crystal looking things, and they're super strong, but they're kind of cool.
Yeah. Like you carved ninja stars out of plexiglass, you know?
Yeah, exactly like you carved ninja stars out of plexiglass.
Couldn't help it.
And so, but he doesn't have a gun. These are his weapons, and he's the most intriguing character in this movie.
Yeah, he is. He always does his fist like motion thingy, like you know, like I'm your brother kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, this kind of body language I'd never seen before.
I mean, he's the most intriguing character. We get no backstory on what he's about. I mean, like, whatever. Like,
he's just the strong and silent and deadly type.
Yeah. Then Cabron and Damien show up, and the commander's gone. And Damien's like, oh, there's just all these wormholes. Oh, my God, there was no commander. I was so scared because she's afraid of worms. Jordan, remember that. She's afraid of worms.
It's going to come into play later on. It might pay off later on.
It
This
might
might pay off.
And then the door is not stopped by him. It's only momentarily stopped by his crystal stars. And then they shatter. And then how does Q-Hod react whenever his crystals...
My last 2 crystals. Because, yeah, the door, slammed shut on his plexiglass crystal ninja stars,
Yeah. But he's like, he lives and dies by these crystals. Like he's emotionally connected to these crystal things.
I think they're like his religion or something. That, I think.
Boy, some backstory would have been real nice on that. Oh, well, we don't have time.
No, we don't need that. We don't have time for that. Yeah. We got movie to go to. We got movie explaining to do. This movie got places to be, as you say.
This movie's an hour and 20 minutes, and it doesn't waste time, but I kind of wished it did waste time sometimes. I don't know. Anyway, so Balon says, watch the door as we go into this pyramid and investigate. And Illuma is claustrophobic. We find out, Jordan, she's claustrophobic. She doesn't like tight spaces, and she gets a reading. But Balon doesn't want... he doesn't care. He's like reading whatever. He just wants to go, and he's being an asshole. And then he just like insults Damia, and this girl doesn't get any respect in this movie. I really feel for Damia. She's the ship's engineer, and she doesn't get any respect.
Yeah.
And Jordan, why would you send the ship's engineer out on an away mission to investigate a pyramid? I mean, why?
Because that's what they would do on Star Trek. Okay.
That was a bad idea when Star Trek did it.
Star Trek is the Bible. I don't know.
Anyway.
Roger Corman, though, based this movie because this movie had Freudian undertones. It was utilizing Roger Corman's, Freudian psychology training that he took in college and all that.
I invented Freudian psychology.
That's why everything is blue and red constantly. Although I actually suspect somebody on this movie smoked a lot of dope and watched and just remembered an old Star Trek episode called Spectre of the Gun where Spock said, "Reality is perception, Captain." And they were like, "There's our movie, man, right there. A horror movie connected with that." Anyway,
Damia doesn't get any respect. There's a lot of infighting there. And back at the door, Q-Hod, the door's closed and locking Q-Hod outside. And his crystals reassemble from the shards.
Yeah.
And, what happens, Jordan? He's overjoyed, but what happens?
Oh, is this where Ray Walston's character figures out how to mess with the door for a second?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. God damn it. It was hard to get through this movie again, oddly.
He's overjoyed, but then one of the crystals stabs him in the arm, flies and stabs him in the arm, and the shard makes his way up his arm. And Jordan, what do you think about these effects?
These effects are great for being apparently done rushed on the spot when they had nothing left in the budget to use them with, I heard. They literally stretched a piece of flesh looking rubber over Sid Haig's arm that they had left over from the makeup department and just, ran the plexiglass right through it. I don't think it was Sid Haig. It wasn't Sid Haig's arm, though, in that scene, though, that they did. The chopped off. Well, because, doesn't it... are we getting to the scene where, it chops off his arm? Yeah,
what does he do? Yeah, he chops off his arm.
It throws it, chops it off itself. Yeah, it chops off his own arm defeated by his own crystals,
Yeah, so he cuts off his arm, and then his arm is down on the ground, and it picks up the crystal and throws it at him and kills it.
Yeah, after he's already lost an arm and kills him right and just stabs him, and then that's the end of him right there. I know, and also I did want to mention though, truthfully, this arm and hand did date Tom's leg from Shriek of the Mutilated later on. I don't know if you knew that, Anthony.
I didn't know that. No,
they were seen on many red carpets together. It was amazing how well decked out they were. They dressed up great.
Anyway, so then Damia is sick of Balon's bullshit, and so she
as we all are, even the audience.
Oh yeah, she's had enough of his resting bitch face, and so she goes out to where Q-Hod is, and she finds his arm. And what's the deal with his arm?
You mean where it's covered in maggots, like a bunch of maggots?
Covered
eating it
in
alive.
Maggots, a bunch
they're
of
eating
maggots.
the arm.
They are eating the arm.
Fun fact about this scene, too. James Cameron did work on this scene, and the maggots would not move. So you know what he did? He electrocuted them.
And then they sued his ass.
He took a battery and literally took 2 speaker wire thingies and plugged it into the arm to create electricity running through it, and that was what made the fucking maggots move. No joke. They didn't use like rice in this scene. No, not at all. Yeah. Rice to fake the maggots. No, real maggots electrocuted. And yes, and then they were sued by the union.
Yeah,
the maggots union.
There's no animal rights.
No, not at all. Even when you're making a movie there.
Anyway, so then you got these maggots, and Damie is visibly sick by this. And then what happens, Jordan? Probably the scene this movie is most remembered for. What happens?
One of those maggots grows ginormous, like in this Ray Harryhausen looking way at first. You know, it's moving in an animated fashion, and then
great stop motion.
Somehow it jumps on her and starts humping her, just like the creature in Humanoids the Deep is humping the girl on the beach. And it starts to eat her clothes away where she's naked, Anthony. Naked.
Yes.
Covered in this, cold, slimy stuff. And, man, you got to give it up to Taffy O'Connell for toughing it out in this scene.
Yeah, you see a lot of her in this movie, so I hope she got paid.
I heard when she walked away from this shot, Zalman King had watched her and said, "You never have to audition for me." That's I didn't make that up. That's actually not a bit. That was apparently what she said in an interview.
Oh, it's a scene that sticks with you. It's nightmare fuel. It's the thing that this movie's most remembered for. And I don't know, what do you think about that scene? I am torn. It's gratuitous.
I don't like this scene though. Honestly, I don't like this scene. I feel like it was gratuitous, and I feel like it ruins. I feel like the movie is great without this scene. Yeah. It's better. It would be better without the scene, honestly.
Not that I don't mind some tasteful nudity, Jordan, but I don't know. It seems it's rapey. The caterpillar is raping her. This is what happens.
Yeah, he is. That's the problem I have with it. I mean, I know this was big in movies in the 70s and 80s because, as Roger Corman might tell you, the foreign sales demand it. Okay. Yeah. The foreign sales want those kind of scenes, those gratuitous scenes. Okay?
We can't sell this movie in Germany until a giant caterpillar rapes a woman.
No.
But the weird part is in the middle of this, she begins to enjoy it. That's the creepy part.
Yeah, they suggest it with the sound effects more in the moans they add to it in the sound effects, I think. And you're like. I've seen nudity in movies, okay? I've seen tasteful sex scenes, but this, I don't know. This scene bothers me.
This ain't no Shape of Water here. This is this is gross and weird. And
this scene and the alien scene in the beginning are what bother me most about this movie.
Yeah. And so apparently the first cut of this was even more suggestive, and it got the movie an X rating, so they had to cut back a few seconds.
Yes, true. I forgot about that. You're right. I remember hearing about that or reading about that.
Wow. That is a scene that will stick with you. Watch it. It has to be seen to believe.
But the poor actress, when they shot this, they literally put a big rubber caterpillar on top of her and covered her in this goo. This kind of Berman slime.
It was the same thing with Humanoids. Like, what is up? Like, why does Roger think that this is what a movie needs?
Humanoids from the Deep is almost great, and that scene in that movie cheapens it too, I think. Honestly, I like Humanoids. I think I said that on that podcast. I think I said I liked it, even with the certain scenes that bother me. But yeah, overall, I could see some brilliance going on in that movie. Anyway.
Oh, really? Wow.
For what little money they had.
Brilliance.
Some brilliance, Anthony. And then this movie too, Galaxy of Terror, a.k.a. Mind Warp. Yes, 1981. Brilliance.
Brilliant. This is not film. This is art.
This is film, not movies, Anthony.
So anyway, back at the ship, the captain is missing, and Core and Ranger go looking for her. And then Core knocks Ranger unconscious, and then Core finds Captain out of her mind She's trying out for the last Starfighter, playing this simulation, this video game, thinking that there's this attack.
She's playing a video game, yeah, exactly. But she's having PTSD, I think, like
it's a simulation and she thinks that the ship's being attacked. Right.
Well, PTSD in a science fiction movie version where you've been through alien wars and shit, that version of PTSD. I don't want to compare it to real earthly reality PTSD. No, that's something else entirely. Okay, just to preface that. Anyway.
Yeah. And then the captain has suspected that something's up with Core this whole time, right? And he reveals himself, and here's where the movie goes. Here's where it gets all weird again. So Core reveals that he is Aruman, weapons system coordinator on the Romulus. She was a kid back then, but saved his life. So he's a spy or something. And
I was confused by that too. Yeah. Again, watching this movie, honestly, I was. It's weird how I missed this shit
because it's confusing.
Yeah.
So she believes the ship is under attack, and it's not entirely.
I was there when you were a child. Yeah.
I mean, that's where I'm confused. She was talking about the Romulus, or he's talking about the Romulus, which I guess was maybe an edited scene or a cut scene, because earlier in the movie, and this is probably me missing this, because I was utterly confused a lot of times. I'm not that smart.
Yeah.
Her whole deal was the Hesperus, not the Romulus, where the prior thing was.
That's right, the Hesperus, yeah.
Yeah.
Because she was telling about how she won during the Hesperus, and she was like telling it all gung-ho, like, we were there. Yeah. She was talking about of course, she was almost talking about like a quarterback talks about a football game they had in high school that went well. We were there, and it was touchdown, and I threw that ball, and then she's playing this video game on an old steering console from Battle Beyond the Stars from one of the ships, turned into a video game basically. And freaking out.
So she had that, exactly. So she had that like Romulus talk, but I mean, we don't know much about what happened, but so he was from that. I don't know. Anyway, I think it's explained later, but she thinks the ship is still under attack. And so she runs out, she grabs this giant gun, and Ranger wakes up and he sees her in the video monitor as she is just completely burned up at this airlock. I don't exactly know what happened. It doesn't matter, but she died. And so the captain's dead.
Yeah.
And so then the search party finds Damia's body, and Balon burns it up. I mean, they're dropping like flies at this point, right?
Yeah.
And then back at the ship, Aluma wants to go home, but Cabron says that they have to find the source of the force field so they can leave. They can't get the ship out of here because they're being held there.
I know, and like I was on her side at this point. I'm like, let's go home. Come on. I mean, we've seen a lot of shit. Come on. We've seen some serious shit.
Half the crew is dead, including the commander and the captain. At least try to leave. I don't know.
Yeah. But no, these movies, this is, but of course they got rest of the movie still, The movie would end already, of course, I guess.
Yeah. And so then they have to go back to the pyramid again. So they double down on a bad idea. Let's go back to the place where everyone died a minute ago. And Core suspiciously wants to go with them, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's like, literally, he wants to leave the ship and go with them. The last old man they have standing.
Yeah. So, because they love old men on missions in this movie. So, Jordan,
do.
What is the real reason they want to go back to the pyramid?
Because this is the core of the movie, I guess. This is where the heart of the movie goes. This is the heart of the movie's darkness.
Yeah, no, because we got this set, Jordan. We better use it. We spent all this money making this pyramid.
Oh yeah, and we do have the set. I forgot about the set, Anthony. Let's not forget about the set. We got to use the set again from different angles. I know there's more angles to be seen from this set that we haven't seen yet and lit yet.
The audience isn't going to know. Isn't going to notice that we keep going back to the same location 5 times. Come on.
All we have to do is switch the gels, okay, Anthony? I've done it many times. Okay. That's my Roger Corman once again, interrupting.
Anyway, so then Aluma senses something, and then Ranger doesn't trust Core because he's probably the smartest person in this movie. Ranger. Yeah. It's really Ranger's movie. He kind of gets. I don't want to jump ahead, but he kind of gets cheated at the end a little bit. Anyway,
Ranger played by Robert Englund, Sir Robert Englund once again. And since his name is Ranger, his theme song should be Sister Christian, oh, the time has come. No, by Night Ranger, yes.
Yeah. So Ranger doesn't trust Core, probably because he got knocked in the head by somebody, and the only person there is Core. So if you ever get punched and there's another person in the room, obviously you're going to be like, wait a minute, who punched me?
Yeah.
And the other guy's Core, and he's like, I don't know who punched you. I mean, come on, man. Anyway, so Balin begins to lose his mind. He starts shooting at everything, right? Or Balin starts shooting at everything. He's losing his mind. And then they find a super fun slide to go down, man. It looks, they go down this whole super fun.
It's like
Temple
a
of Doom.
curly water slide or something from Goonies or something later on.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're like sliding down with their backpacks and yeah.
So they go down the fun slide and they find the interior of the pyramid, which is like smaller pyramid within the pyramid connected by walkways and with this lattice work all over this glowing wall. And I thought the set was so cool. It really gave the impression of like size to this whole thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's done by forced perspective and miniature and paintings and all that. And
The Cube or something later would sort of use that concept, but it was like, it's forced perspective. It's wonderfully done. But Balon is freaking out and he's being tracked by something, right?
Yeah. He keeps thinking there's something following him, so he keeps shooting at it.
And they're walking on this elevated walkway with just like nothing on either side. You can fall to your death. And something is crawling under the walkway toward Balon. They go into this door, and then Core's like messing around with things, and he finds a way to close the door.
Yeah.
And that locks Balon out, and the lights go out. And then what happens? What happens to Balon?
He does that a couple of times, and I was just kind of like, oh my God, leave it open, dude. What are you doing? But yeah, the door closes on them, the lights go out, and start to enter even more dark portals on their own slowly from here.
Yeah, well, I mean, what also happens is a monster kills Balon.
Oh, the monster finally pops out, and it's like, it's some alien type looking monster that pops out and kills Balon.
Yeah, and then it grabs him and turns him into a dummy, and then the alien throws the dummy off the walkway into the abyss.
Oh yeah, that was a great shot. I love that. Because it looked like it didn't look like a dummy. It looks like the size of a Barbie doll probably, or a Ken doll.
Okay, the alien threw a doll off the walkway. Anyway, so now it's time for Ranger to go crazy next, and I love this. It's pretty good. This is some good acting from Robert Englund.
It shows how great Robert Englund is, even early on. He's just waiting to flex those acting muscles.
Yeah.
It's prime time, bitch.
Yeah. And he thinks he's got a lot of jealousy and resentment against Cabron. You thought you were so great at the academy, something. Anyway, everyone in this movie is stupid, though. Everyone goes insane, then dies. And then but the problem with this movie is nobody's grieving their lost comrades. Like, we just lost Balon. And yeah, he had resting bitch face, but, I guess he was all right.
Yeah, nobody stopped him with Balon. Balon was a dick. Fuck him. No.
Yeah,
he might have been a dick, but he was human, and he wasn't that bad. God damn it! You know he cooked dinner for me before we left.
Man, he picked me up at the airport once and helped me move, man. Yeah, he was kind of an asshole, but you didn't know Balon the way I knew him, man.
He helped me put a carpet in my living room, man.
But anyway, yeah, we don't get.
Here's to you, man.
Yeah, we don't get anything like that in this movie. Right?
When I get home, I'm gonna have a memorial built to Balon. You understand?
Yeah. Anyway, it's game over, man, for Balon.
Game over for Balon. Let's get off this planet, man. Oh no, we got more movie.
Speaking of which, I think Bill Paxton did work as a set decorator or crewed on this movie.
I think he was a carpenter.
Or was carpenter. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think he was a carpenter at New World back. Because I met him in person and asked him like how he met James Cameron. That's what he said was.
Oh wow.
They met at New World.
Oh really?
Yeah. When I met him in person I met him in person one time at a film festival outside a movie theater. Just randomly, just walked up to him. But anyway.
Oh, Jordan, watch your step. You just dropped a name.
Oh,
No,
sorry.
step
Let me
on
pick
it.
that up. It reads Bill Paxton.
So anyway, yeah, Balon dies, and then it's like, let's just keep going, everybody, and and they do the same thing over and over again. Let's split up, and more people can die, right?
Yeah, they're at the point of no return, so let's not return.
They're running out of people at this point. There's only 3 people left in this movie to go insane and then die. It's like,
why not? There's only so much plot left. Let's keep going.
So then, anyway, a double in a bad wig attacks Ranger, and it's really
Oh, yeah.
his evil doppelganger.
Yeah, with Robert Englund, and then basically it's Robert Englund doing Freddy,
Yeah,
and he says,
yeah.
This is God.
No, he doesn't say that, but yeah.
Yeah, so
He
it's
says,
kind of
God.
funny. I think he's such a good actor.
He's channeling Freddy before Freddy, though. This is 3 years before Nightmare on Elm Street, though, and this is the same cinematographer from Nightmare on Elm Street, Jacques Hotkin. Jacques Hotkin. I think
Jacques Hotkin.
Jacques Hotkin. Yeah, I can't say his name. Yeah, good cinematographer too. I think he dealt good with darkness and all that, though. Light and shadows.
Yeah, I thought the cinematography was pretty good in this movie.
Yeah.
So Luma is at this point, she's separated from Cabron, and she's trapped behind green glass, right? And then what happens to her, Jordan?
I thought this was kind of creepy. Yeah, she's like, is this where she sees him on the other side?
Yeah.
Of it?
And they can't get to one another, so they mount.
It's like that literally looks like a bad dream or a nightmare where you're trying to talk to somebody through glass and they're like motioning you with their hands like, go that way. Yeah. I'll meet you out that way. I'm sure if you go that way, we can meet each other. But I don't know if that's the exit or not to wherever we're at. I thought that was kind of creepy, this whole thing.
And they have a tender moment there as they look at each other through the glass. And it's short-lived.
Yeah, both good acting on both parties. Aaron Moran and Edward Albert.
Yeah.
We're both good in this movie, honestly.
Yeah. So then what happens to Aluma, Jordan?
Oh, is this where her, like, worst fear is realized, where she's, like, it gets claustrophobic, and what else happens? I'm so
all
sorry.
these little tentacles come in.
Parts
of the wall. It's not clear, and they just strangle her to death. And choke her until her head explodes, basically.
Oh, that's right. And it just explodes completely, like just worse than Scanners. It's just like, once again, a horrifying kind of effect from this movie. Another shocking kind of effect from this movie. Part of why I like this movie still is all this weird stuff like this.
Yeah, and then, Cabron finds her body. And finally, Edward Albert does some acting in this movie. You know what I mean?
Oh, come on now. You think really?
His grief is palpable, Jordan. He's a true master of the craft. This scene is Oscar worthy. No, it's okay. It's all right. He's like, I think he kind of acts like he's a little upset. I don't know.
I'm a little sad.
I blame the directing. I mean, not the actors.
And the producing. In this case.
But finally, Ranger realizes in the fight with himself that it's an illusion. It's an illusion.
They can win. They can win if they just all realize, like Mr. Spock said in this Star Trek episode, reality is perception. No.
Reality is perception. Reality is perception, bitch.
There you go, Robert Englund.
So he realized Ranger, and he goes to Cabron and says, look, we are attacking ourselves. There is no real horror, Jordan. There's no horror. What does that mean? What does that mean, Jordan?
It means that all the horror is the manifestation of what's inside them, their own fears. It's their own worst enemy, Anthony.
Yes.
Deep level, deep psychological stuff here, which is what separates it at least from Alien, the movie it was like trying to rip off. Okay, I should say. I mean, paying homage to.
Alien is called a psychological horror film in a lot of ways, especially the first movie. But this is really a movie about psychoses, about inner psychotic trauma.
Yeah.
Outwardly manifesting itself. It's like schizophrenia, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It fits in a weird, I think, subgenre of psychological sci-fi horror, like the Michael Crichton written film Sphere was like that, or
yes, Event Horizon,
or Event Horizon, or Solaris. But this is more so horror, more so on the leaning on the horror side, psychological horror side.
Yeah, and I think we'll discuss that, and we're almost to the end of the movie. I think we'll discuss that a little more in a minute.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then Ranger says to Cameron, it's there's no real horror, and then Cork appears. Remember, he's still in this movie, and he says, "Not so fast." And then
Ray Walston, ladies and gentlemen.
Ray Walston, well played.
He's still in this movie. I forgot.
Yes, he's like, "I'm not dead yet." anyway, Cameron.
Pretty good.
Cameron sees Core and he shouts, "Con! I mean, Core!" And he follows him up these stairs, and he finds Core sitting cross-legged.
He's like sitting in a meditative sort of like he's meditating like a Buddhist or something like that, or
yeah. And then what happens, Jordan?
Is this when he slowly starts to glow light, and he tells him that he's also the embodiment of everything as well, and it becomes like really beyond me at this point once again.
Yeah.
This is where the movie lost me again. Rewatching it recently, where I was like, "What? Whoa!"
Yeah. Then Cameron realizes that Core knows this place, and he basically enabled everybody's death. He watched them all die, and he tries to shoot Core, but it has no effect. Then Core explains that the pyramid is an ancient toy that a master race used to train their children to control their fears. Like, what the fuck, Jordan? What is that? What this movie is about? It's like a toy.
You want me to give that to my daughter as a toy for Christmas? Are you crazy, mother?
Can you imagine like the Jingle All the Way of this movie with these aliens? Whoever built this is just like, I must have the pyramid mind game toy.
It's okay, son. I promise to get you that pyramid toy for Christmas. No, yeah, that's fucked up. I forgot he said all that. My God, there was a...
This is what this reminded me of in the movie Forbidden Planet from the 50s.
Yeah, I remember that movie. I love that movie, yeah.
Yeah. The ancient Altarians, whatever they were, the ancient race had this game, where you put something on your head and you could move this thing. I don't know. Anyway, but that's what this reminded me of, is that somebody watched Forbidden Planet, took that scene and said, what if somebody came, because this movie really has a lot of shades of with the pyramid and the architecture.
Oh yeah, like on Altair 4.
Yeah, the Altarians, that was it, were the alien race, and it's like someone took that concept and made a movie of it. Yeah. But it was cool when it's a little thing. It's weird when it's a big thing to call it a toy.
Yeah,
and then
that makes sense. Yeah,
they took that scene and they stretched it into an entire movie. It's I don't know. You feel robbed a little bit. You're like, that's a little anticlimactic. This is a toy. This isn't. Do you know what I mean? There's not anything bigger than this. It's kind of nihilistic in a weird way. Like it means nothing. All these people died for nothing.
This is beyond just a holodeck kind of toy or a VR kind of toy. Even this is like,
Yeah.
This is like if the kid in Poltergeist had this toy and basically the clown came to life and he realized his own fear. Oh, yeah. Never mind. This is a weird connection now I'm making.
Yeah. So then Cameron asks why they all had to die, and Core says, they all chose poorly. They all just made poor mistakes. They all killed themselves, I guess, right? And then Cameron is tested, and he has to fight all the monsters that appeared in the movie heretofore. And why is that, Jordan?
Oh, so he can defeat this guy with his own light laser that comes from his chest.
Yes, but because we paid for the monsters, Jordan. We paid for the monsters.
Oh, yeah. And he realizes all his fears, so he sees every one of the crew members coming back to haunt him, basically.
Yeah, the crew members attack him, and there's some cheesy judo fighting and punch sound effects ensue. And then, like a bad Halloween haunted house, they all come and attack him.
Aaron Moran's character tries to strangle him, and that's where really sets him off. And
that's the final test, is her.
But he survives.
So they're both Kalen and the Master are left. And then the Master says, you cannot find the rage to kill me.
Yeah. Suddenly it's like an episode of Kung Fu. Grasshopper, you cannot find the rage to kill me.
To me, it sounds like it really sounds like Darth Vader's like, search your heart. You can't find the rage to kill me. You know, it just sounds like, oh, come on, really? I don't know. It seems lifted from something.
Rod Serling shows up and narrates and says, "This is all the embodiment of man's inner fears in the Twilight Zone." No.
But then, Jordan, your favorite, what happens? What happens?
His light, Kalen's light shoots out of him, cocoon style.
Lasers emanate
from him, yeah, rotoscope style.
Shoot into core, kill
and
him.
Then, it kills, Ray Walston's character, with his lasers. His light emits back to him. And, there's only so much lasers because...
Yeah, he says he killed him, but then he's like, I killed you. And he's talking to him. It's like, I killed you. And it's like, well, yes, you killed me. It just took away his glowing head. So it's how do you...
Well, because Roger Corman didn't want to spend more than... He had $5,000 for lasers. Another laser would have cost him $1,000 more, Anthony. That's not going to happen. I'm sorry, Anthony. No, not on this budget.
Yeah, it gets really trippy here. And so Core says that Kalen is now the master. And Kalen's like, what if I don't want to be the master? And Core says the planet will plunge into chaos without you and all that, I guess, something like that. It's very confusing. And then Kalen shoots Core, and then Kalen's face begins to glow.
Yeah, he has the glow now.
Yeah.
Wait, is this the Last Dragon we're talking about? No, this is not.
Last Dragon makes more sense, Jordan. Show enough.
You have the glow. Part of that was actually in my notes earlier. I was thinking about that connection. The glow. Sorry, I couldn't help it.
Yeah. So Core says that Kalen is now the master, but then he's like, doesn't that mean that you're the master, Mr. Hand?
You're the master now, Mr. Spicoli. So what the other master was trying to say was, if they don't do this, we'll be bogus. We'll all be bogus.
You've passed my class, Mr. Kalen. And so anyway, then
that was pretty good, actually.
Kalen shoots Core, and Kalen's face begins to glow. So now he has become the master. He has become what he sought to destroy. And he still has no way of getting back to the planet. I don't know.
Yeah, where the fuck did he come from anyway? I guess it doesn't matter. Where was home to begin with?
And then the pyramid begins to glow and the credits roll. And none of this makes any damn sense, Jordan. Damn it. None of this makes any sense. Come on.
But it looks
dude.
cool.
It looks cool. Yeah.
I mean, it's effective on its budget, It moves fast.
Yeah. The whole movie was the Dark Side Cave sequence from The Empire Strikes Back.
Roger Corman said, psychology. Yeah, I knew it. Once again, another easy explanation would be.
Yeah. So I think the good for me is the sets are good. The effects are good. I think the atmosphere is pretty good. But like we were talking about earlier, I don't think the lighting is always great. I think they show it's a little too brightly lit, and that shows some of the flaws in the sets and some of the effects. It could be a little darker, or but other than that, the cinematography is okay.
I'm pretty sure James Cameron was hoping that when he had those headlights mounted on the backpacks, that it would outshine the sets, because he had the same thing on Aliens later on. But when he shot that, he got onto the DP because he said, I only wanted the light from like what was on their armor to be showing the sets.
Yeah.
And I kind of can't argue with him on that part, actually, because that's more effective when you just have a flashlight going through a room. It's more interesting. You see that in 7 later on, even.
Yeah.
The movie 7 by David Fincher. But
exactly.
It's just something effective about it like that.
Yeah. And I mean, this movie makes me feel like a kid. Just the cheesy effects, and it's a fun movie.
But it's fun. That's the thing about it. It's a fun horror, sci-fi horror, psychological horror, if you will, ride. It's a funhouse ride at the end of it all.
It's a cheesy Halloween haunted house, and
exactly.
You pay your $25 or whatever, and you have fun. But it's not. But you can still see the zippers.
Yeah.
So suspension of disbelief.
Yeah. I get the same feeling with this movie that I got like when I was at the county fair as a kid and they had that cheap haunted house in a trailer, that was just dark. It was a dark maze that you had to go through and you'd bump into walls. You couldn't see shit in front of you until they'd have a big, alien, or not alien, a skeleton corpse, with a big loud sound come out of nowhere with lights on it, that kind of thing. I get that same feeling like watching this movie kind of a little bit oddly,
Yeah.
I noticed.
But it's let's be honest, it's not the best movie ever. Jordan, I think there's barely a planet full of terror, much less a galaxy's worth.
Oh my God.
Ooh.
Ooh. Zingers.
Yeah. I mean, there's just kind of no sense of wonder in a weird way. There's no part where like the dialogue where people speculate on what all of this is.
Yeah.
They just walk from kill to kill. They don't stop and contemplate and they don't have human reactions to things, like I said.
And because they came from the whole master thing, it's like that's the person dictating all this. It's not they came from the planet Earth. This is the future. They're on a ship. One of our own got killed, so we got to go out and investigate. Nothing simple,
That whole master nonsense, it seems like they're trying to make some sort of political commentary or have a fantasy element. It doesn't work. They could have just they should just cut the whole master bit out at the beginning.
What was it with that?
End.
It seemed like some kind of Scientology kind of shit. I don't know.
Yeah, couldn't Ranger and Cabron just figure this out at the end and be like, wait a second, you know what I mean? This is what this is.
Yeah. I mean, cut all that. I almost want to do a fan cut where you cut that out cut out that shit in the beginning, and just cut out any reference to them and just make it a simple fucking, we're going out to look for this thing that happened because there was a murder on this other planet. So we're going out there to look for it,
Yeah. And I mean, and I think the biggest flaw is the script. I think the script's a mess. The concept was there. It just wasn't handled as well as it could have been. Like, this is all about some toy. I mean, when you hear that at the end, you're like, what? And then the whole master business, and it just takes what could have been a very effective movie and just pulls the rug out from under it with all this silliness. And you're just like, why did I even watch this weird Jorodowski's Dune ending? Like this,
Yeah.
It's just...
I say sci-fi, but it's not really. This is not really science fiction either. This is sci-fi fantasy, sci-fi horror fantasy. It's more like a dark, sci-fi fairy tale. More like it's like Grimm wrote a sci-fi movie,
Yeah, interesting. A child's the alien species. This was their bedtime story here to go with their toy.
Yeah, Sigmund Freud wrote a sci-fi horror story. Anything that falls kind of slightly into the Twilight Zone area, in my opinion, like that.
Yeah. So does the movie work as an alien rip?
Yes, yes, it does. As an alien ripoff, it's a great alien ripoff. As far as you want to be in an alien world and see kills, yes, and be like it's a ride once again, or a haunted house, yes, it's good. It works on that level, in my opinion.
So good for the alien clones, so to speak.
But it's a bit too far out, maybe, on the sci-fi level. Maybe that's its problem.
It's a bit too weird.
Or the sci-fi fantasy level. Maybe it's meaning that scene in the beginning,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's an hour and 20 minutes. I really think they should have spent some more time developing these characters and us spending time with them and us caring about them. We really don't do that,
Yeah.
And that's what they took the wrong lessons from something like Alien, right?
Yeah.
You cared about the characters. There's enough banter there, even though you have a short time with some of them, that you do care about this crew and these people. And you don't really have that same feeling here because we're just getting from one kill to the other.
Yeah.
Feels like a slasher movie, an 80s slasher movie in that sense. It's like, who cares about these assholes? Let's kill them.
Yeah.
So do you think it deserves a sequel, Jordan, or a remake?
A remake? Yes. A sequel? Well, it should have had a sequel back in the day. That would have been interesting.
Galaxy of Terror 2?
Galaxy of Terror 2 or Mind Warp 2? Yeah.
Mind Warp. Galaxy of Terror 2.
Yeah, it definitely would have been interesting if they should have banked on it right at the moment when it was But
Yeah.
I don't know how well this movie did back when it came out.
Well, funny you should ask. Did it make a galaxy of dollars at the box office? On a budget of 1.8 million, asterisk always, I can't vouch for these numbers. It looks like it pulled in about 4 million. So that's not bad for a Roger Corman movie. It's not spectacular, but that's pretty good. So, Jordan, what kind of rating do you give this film?
I give it 6 out of 10 backpacks with big headlights on them.
Yeah, and I don't know, a movie that could have been a little more effective, but still a lot of fun. I don't know. Yeah.
But the caterpillar scene bothers me, and that's what ruins it. Like, it cheapens it, you know? It turns it into a snuff film all of a sudden.
Yeah.
You know?
That's not what ruins it for me. It's the stupid master crap and all the fantasy elements that don't freaking work.
And the stupid master crap also. Just, man, that really, how did I miss that watching it this many times?
I mean, the same thing that didn't work for Star Crash, the weird fantasy stuff. It's like, maybe I'm just a purist, be a science fiction movie, even with some fantasy elements like Star Wars, but just be a little more grounded. I don't know. Well, anyway, Jordan, interesting movie, folks. Check it out. We've left a lot to still watch in this one. And so anyway, we hope you've enjoyed this discussion about Galaxy of Terror.
AKA Mind Warp, an Infinity of Terror.
And Jordan, it's been great talking to you about Mind Warp and Infinity of Terror. And
great talking to you, Anthony.
Yeah. And if you like this, check out our other episodes. We've talked about other movies like this. Maybe not quite this weird. I don't know.
Yes, and to any of you listeners out there who have tuned in recently, hey, we love you. Hey, thank you for tuning in and listening.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. And hey, reach out to us on Facebook or wherever if you want us to talk about one of your favorite movies, or if you have a suggestion.
Absolutely. Message us on Facebook.
Yeah, and tell your friends if you like this, and tell strangers on the street, tell your kids, tell your wife, tell everybody. Like, subscribe, hit all the good buttons. Maybe, Jordan, next time we'll talk about another film that has less caterpillar sexual assault. I don't know.
Hopefully, I'm sorry. I'm getting a little sick from all the podcast travel here. No. Yeah, hopefully we won't talk about a movie with weird stuff involving the master.
Yeah.
In the beginning of the movie, and the Persis, the Xerses, or whatever, the stuff that makes me sound drunk when I'm talking about it, like Dana Carvey might say.
Yeah, and maybe a movie with Sid Haig in it. I don't know. Anyway.
Oh, we should only be so lucky. Yes.
Yeah. All right, Jordan. This has been...
The Robots Took My Podcast. And by the way, Anthony, why did everybody have to die during this podcast?
All trailers, clips, music, or any other copyrighted material are used sparingly, edited from their original forms, and used for the purposes of criticism, discussion, commentary, and education about these fine films.